Mira Lehr's Siren Song contains many layers of meaning combining the natural world, art, and femininity. In Lehr's immersive panels of silver emulsion, dyed paper, and spent gunpowder, the viewer might find allusions to a rough sea in color, to an abstracted sheet of music in tempo, or to rivers flowing through a mangrove estuary to the sea. Siren Song almost certainly conjures in the viewer's imagination the lyrical beauty and mysteriousness of the mythological half-woman, half-creature sirens who enchanted sailors but simultaneously warned them of perilous rocky coastlines. Beauty and danger intersect here as art is produced in warning. On this Earth Day 2020, appreciate the awe in the sky and ground you have access to and research more about the natural world all around you. Listen for the alarms as they come from the animal and plant life changes you might see, just as the artist does. Cascading through the lobby of the museum is Invisible Cities, an installation of colonies of brassy mesh and vibrant orange forms like coral reefs created by artist Mira Lehr. The scientific names of varieties of corals and other species who depend on the reefs for food and shelter grace the papers, artfully burned and adhered to the intricate exoskeleton meant to remind the viewer of the calcium carbonate forms of hard coral built up and excreted by living polyps. Here, the artist calls attention to the delicacy of the coral reef ecosystem, demonstrating how intricately linked living organisms are to one another and how disastrous problems like increased ocean temperature and coral bleaching affect all of these interconnected animals. The title of Lehr's work also implies a scaling upward of this idea, that even built up in a crude cement human cities, all of us in our modified spaces still have the responsibility to sustain the ecosystems in which we live in concert and connection with the plants and animals who live here as well. In conversation with Siren Song along its back walls, Mira Lehr's Below the Surface takes us from an estuary of the shoreline into an abyss of oceanic depths. 6 life-size panels of resin reflect and refract light throughout the gallery, gently immersing the viewer into deep blue waters, surrounded on all sides by simple and complex forms of life. Swimming deeper into the metaphor, size becomes irrelevant as low-hanging panels lead one to imagine gliding between the tentacles of bioluminescent jellyfish miles below the surface in a dark trench. For curator Ginger Greg Dugan, the artist and the underwater experience carries with it a vulnerability that can understandably be either intimidating or inspiring. Without being open to the unknown, one may never reap the rewards of a new adventure or experience. As the viewer enters into the exhibition space of Mira Lehr's high water mark, they are immersed into the twisting and nodding root systems of the mangrove labyrinths. Suspended in the air among the root structures are net or seed-like enclosures of resin-soaked papers, which teem with the vibrancy and hope of life that the marine nursery offers within the brackish waters we metaphorically swim. Like the rib vaulting inside of a Gothic temple or cathedral, marine rope is arched and formed overhead, recalling the safety of the estuary and offering a guided pathway for quiet contemplation to consider, especially in Florida, the many relationships between humans, flora, and fauna which make a successful estuarine system.